Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the International Bonsai Academy with Walter Pall. What a bombastic name. Now, why not Bonsai School? Why Academy? Well, where does the word Academy come from anyway? 2,400 years ago, 400 years before Christ, a man called Plato in Greece has developed a school where he taught philosophy. And he didn't want to call it school because school is for little children, and he was looking for a better name for what he had in mind, and he thought that the name Academy should apply after Akademos, which is a hero of the Greek saga. So he called his school Academy, and now 2,400 years later, in many languages around the world, the word academy still means a place of higher learning. That's what this is about, a place of higher learning. Plato has developed the way of teaching by challenging his students. It's not like in a school you stand in front of children and you tell them everything and then they say, yes teacher, yes teacher. No, Plato would ask the students, and the students had to stand up and would have to speak for themselves and develop their own thoughts and even teach the teacher. Now that's the way I want to run the International Bonsai Academy. It's more on an equal eye level with my students, and the students work and I watch them. It's not the other way around. Okay, so Plato, by the way, is a very interesting man who has also invented what is known as the cave analogy. Everybody has heard about the cave analogy, which he has came up with, and I will now do the cave analogy in bonsai terms. Okay, it's like this. There is this big cave, and on the backside of that cave is a wall, and people are sitting right here and look at the wall. So the entrance of the cave is where you are, but people look there, okay? And they are bound to their seats. They will never ever turn around and look back. They can only see the wall. And they have never seen anything else, so they think it's normal. Now there are some shadows on that wall, and the shadow is showing something triangular, something that has branches like that, and they look at this, and then they see some other shapes, and they have developed their theories around this. So they call this formal upright, informal upright, this and that, and they have rules and they speak about it, and they think this is the world, this is it. And one guy in between is always asking silly questions. He is always questioning the wisdom of the seniors, and they don't like him. But this guy was so smart that one day he escaped. So he sneaked out of that cave and found that at the entrance of the cave, on the wall, there were sitting little bonsai trees. And so the light came at the bonsai trees and through the shadow at the wall. And he could see that these look so much better than the shadow. The shadow is nothing, it's two-dimensional, there's no color, nothing. So the real trees looked so much better. And he admired it. Wow, this is it. You think this is the world? No, this is the world. So he went back and told them, hey, you are looking at the wrong thing. There's much more to it. It's three-dimensional. And what you experience in front of this is so much more than you. So, but they didn't know what he was talking about. They thought this man is telling them nonsense, so they didn't want to listen to him, and they told him to go away. So he went out again, and he found behind these trees there were much better trees. Oh, these are cookie cutter bonsai. This is just regular sort of standard things with not much soul, and he found there's much better trees there. Oh, they look like real trees. They look like enormous, powerful trees. And he admired them so much, and he went back and told these people again. Now this is your world, there's another world, and behind that world, there's still another world, which is still much better. And they still, of course, did not understand what he was talking about, okay? So they sent him back out again, and he went back out, and then he went behind these, and then he came to a forest. The first time in his whole life he had saw a real tree. He had only seen shadows of bonsai, and now he sees a real tree. Oh, this is what we're talking about. This is where that comes from. Oh, wow, how wonderful. I must go back and tell people about this. This is the real world. So he goes back and tells them about the real world. And they get so annoyed that they force him to commit suicide, like they forced Socrates to commit suicide, because he annoyed people so much with his wisdom. Okay, this is the cave analogy in bonsai terms. Now it's up to you to decide where you are, huh? This makes you think. Are you sitting in that cave looking at shadows? Does that make you happy? Or are you working with cookie cutter bonsai, or with real bonsai, or with real trees? It's up to you. You can make your mind. Just makes you think. The cave analogy. Okay. The cave analogy, as I said, is about starting with the shadows on the wall, which don't show much, but people think that's the world, and then it's the cookie cutter bonsai, and then it's a very good bonsai, and then it's the trees. Okay, and I gave this some thought, and all of a sudden I had the epiphany to turn the cave analogy upside down, to start from the origin, from the roots. So where does this all come from? One day somebody looked at the real trees, and he admired the trees so much, so he had this splendid, brilliant idea of bringing the big tree into a small tree, of creating a small tree that gave you this feeling of the big tree. And he did a very good job. It was brilliant. It was a genius. The first genius in bonsai. He did that. So then people all wanted this wonderful tree. So he made another one and another one, but he could not make enough trees for people. He could not make all the trees that he could sell to people. Anyway, so somebody copied him and took what he had and made copies, so that for commercial reasons. However, the second person was not as artistically good. Okay, so the second person did just a copy which was of lesser quality. So then the third person made a copy which was of lesser quality. And in the end they had something stereotyped, which even an apprentice could do, and they made thousands and thousands of these trees. And all of a sudden we had these cookie cutter trees, which then went all to Europe and America, and there they thought, this is a piece of art, this is bonsai, this is it. Okay, and they copied these, but unfortunately they weren't very good artists or craftsmen, so the copies were even worse. And then this is what we throw at the wall, and this is the shadow. This is a very long way from the real trees to the shadows. Okay, so that's what happened in the past. And now we have to go the reverse way. That is my whole philosophy about bonsai. Come on, go back to the roots. Isn't bonsai about big trees? In all seriousness, you will probably not believe it, but I have it black on white. I wrote that, is not bonsai about real trees? And the answer was, no, Walter, you don't understand bonsai. Bonsai has nothing to do with real trees. Rainer Goebel wrote that on the internet. Bonsai has nothing to do with real trees. I mean, what a joke! You see, he was with the shadows, and he was so far away from the real trees that he did not see the connection there. So, is there something that we should think about? I think there is. Thank you very much.